I'd like to welcome everyone on behalf of the Mind and Life Institute. It's a very, very great pleasure and privilege to be here with you all, distinguished and invited guests, for this collaboration, a collaboration between two research centers with very common ideals. I speak on behalf of the Mind and Life Institute, but also wish to speak warm words of gratitude and also welcome to the Kokobo Research Centre, who has done so much to help bring this event about. I want to thank in particular Sakiko, Yoshikawa, Seiji Kumagai, and Makari Desrochers, who worked with us over the course of 2 years. I want to thank also the many sponsors who have made this possible, and especially the Hershey Family Foundation, without whom this would simply not have been possible. Our theme for today is the theme of mapping the mind. The mind is the most important, powerful experience, of course, that we have. It is our world, a world of lived experience, aspiration, suffering, but also a world which is a mystery in many ways. We come together from across many disciplines to map the mind, map the emotional life, map the life of thought, which we as human beings cultivate and strive to perfect, to understand. We might ask ourselves, why is this long and indeed ancient project so critical to our humanity? It seems to me that the theme of mapping the mind, of coming to know the mind more fully, is really to come to know what it means to be a human being at all. And if we would work with those who are ill, if we would work with children in education, if we would work with the environment of our planet, and to do so in a way which was truly fitting, appropriate, and helpful, then it's critical that we have an apt and accurate, full, robust view of what it means to be alive today on this planet as human beings. When people undertake to educate children, to heal those who are not well, we all have that common high aspiration to do good. But if our image of what it means to be a human being is inadequate, faulty, partial, then we may mean to do well and we may inadvertently end up doing harm. And so in coming together here with 12 scientists, meditative practitioners, and scholars, we come from across many fields and disciplines. We are like, you could say, the stars in the cosmos. They span and circle the earth. His Holiness, it looks like, is going to be joining us in a moment. Indeed, we'd like to welcome him to the stage. Please rise.
Good morning.
Good morning. Once again, let me just finish then my welcome to each and every one of you, and the theme of mapping the mind, which is to say, to understand ourselves fully and holistically from many different perspectives, both scientific and contemplative, to understand those aspects in order to be able to serve the world more fully and more adequately. Today, we're going to be, as was told, there will be 2 sessions, one in the morning, one in the afternoon. There'll be 3 facilitators. I will facilitate the first session. The second session today will be facilitated by Professor Iriki from the Riken Brain Science Institute. He'll also do the third session, that is to say, tomorrow morning, and Roshi Joan Halifax will facilitate the final session tomorrow afternoon. So, we'd like to invite then Sakiko to come forward and speak on behalf of the Kokobo Research Centre. Also words of greeting. Welcome.
Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. On behalf of Kokobo Research Centre, Kyoto University, I'd like to express my deep gratitude for this wonderful opportunity that KRC and Mind and Life Institute can jointly invite scientists and contemplative practitioners to a dialogue with His Holiness, the Dalai Lama, examining the theme of mapping the mind. In autumn of 2012, I attended the 25th dialogue organized by Mind and Life Institute at Rockefeller University in the United States. That intimate and insightful dialogue between His Holiness and leading scientists deeply impressed me, convincing me of the importance of such interactions and leading me to envision such dialogue in Kyoto in the future. After attending the dialogue at Rockefeller University, I began to think that Kyoto, the old capital of Japan and the cradle of traditional culture of Japan, is a place preeminently suitable to continue this kind of dialogue. Japan is famous for its highly developed science and technology. At the same time, Japan embraces both the native Shinto religion and Buddhism, which was introduced to Japan in the middle of the 6th century. After many generations, most Japanese have come to feel that Shinto and Buddhism harmoniously combine as a single attitude toward life. In Japan, the values of compassion, wisdom, and altruism are respected and passed down from parents to children in our daily lives. In January of 2013, Mind and Life Institute President Arthur Dyens paid a visit to our Kokobo Research Centre. We discussed collaborating on this joint international dialogue, Mapping the Mind, inviting His Holiness the Dalai Lama. Today, after many months of planning and Skype meeting, the day has come. The Mind and Life Institute has led this dialogue for more than a quarter of a century, providing invaluable opportunities to consider seriously how scientific knowledge and contemplative practices can contribute to the well-being of people in the world. Like Western scientists, many Japanese scientists tend to think scientific research and the accumulation of knowledge have no relation to Shinto or Buddhism. Yet, at the same time, they visit Shinto shrines on New Year's Day, pray for the happiness of their families, and for the repose of their ancestors' souls. Every August, at our own Obon festival, many Japanese scientists light fires to welcome their ancestors' souls and see them off in the same way as do Japanese who are not professional scientists. In the process of preparing for this dialogue, some Japanese presenters told me that this prompted them to reconsider in what way their rational scientific thought can be related to their implicit emotional feelings accompanying Shinto and Buddhism, and how their own scientific wisdom might be better combined with values like compassion and empathy. Hearing these remarks, I thought the dialogue with His Holiness the Dalai Lama provide a unique opportunity for Japanese scientists and scholars. I hope that 2 days of dialogue with His Holiness and interactions among Western and Japanese scientists and contemplative scholars will enhance such important concerns. On behalf of Kokobo Research Centre, I'd like to express my hearty gratitude to all the foundations and individuals who generously provided financial support and assistance. Without your support, today would never have happened. President Arthur Dyens and Rosie John Halifax supported us in many ways in preparing the dialogue. And Jackie, Heather, and Wendy gave us their expertise knowledge as a team in organizing the dialogue. It is my sincerest hope that through the 2 days of dialogues with His Holiness on mapping the mind, all of our distinguished presenters and guests from the US and Japan will obtain some enlightenment for better understanding of our mind and also of our common future. Thank you so very much for your contributions and cooperation. Okay, thank you.
Thank you very much. Your Holiness, we'd like to invite you to make some opening remarks.
Spiritual leaders and scientists and brothers and sisters. Of course, spiritual leaders and scientists also brothers, sisters. I always emphasize, we need a sense of oneness of 7 billion human beings. Actually, 7 billion human beings are brothers and sisters. So, now here, I'm extremely happy because having this meeting take in Japan since many years. Of course, you see, also the Mind Life Institution, which is started now nearly 30 years. So, since many years, I'm quite keen. So this meeting, this kind of meeting, should take place and on Asian countries where Buddha Dharma is their own traditional religion. And frankly speaking, when our meeting takes place in the West, mainly Judeo-Christian background, and anyway, non-Buddhist country. So although I never try to propagate Buddha Dharma, when I give talk about Buddhism, I always make it clear, the Westerners, you have your own traditional value, traditional faith. It is very, very important to keep your own traditional faith. To change new faith is not easy, difficult. So I always emphasize that. Therefore, you see, some sort of also the discussion about mind and modern science. Then much information about mind is actually come from ancient Indian psychology, Indian science of mind. Then my own knowledge also, you see, come from Buddhist sort of also the psychology, like that. So sometimes I feel, it might be sort of some kind of showing richness of Buddhist sort of knowledge about mind or these things. Actually, right from the beginning, I told our organization, at that time, sometimes they call dialogue between Buddhism and science. And I told, this is wrong. We are not also the discussion about Buddhism and science, no. For example, last now several decades, we never discuss about next life or what's the salvation, moksha, or emptiness. That's Buddhist business. We only, you see, discuss about mind, about the sort of matters. So, therefore, I suggested we should say Buddhist science and modern science. And okay. So every religion, there's a philosophical part, religious part, in my mind, religious part, philosophical part, and then also, you see, we should know, I think, cultural part. Any religion, the cultural part, very much sort of related with existing way of life and the cultural heritage on the area, particular area. I think one example, during Jainism and Buddhism started in India, around that period, some Hindu practitioner, you see, in the name of worship to God, thousands animals killed. So because of that kind of sort of circumstances, Jainism, special emphasis about non-violence, and Buddhism as well. And the other hand, and then also like in Middle East, Islam or Judaism, particularly Islam, this started. The circumstances, I think more or less, I think nomad life. So a lot of crimes. So the Quran mentioned the Sharias, these things, because of, you see, the reality, the cultural aspect, the society, a lot of sort of crimes, these things. So it mentioned, I think. This is my view. Maybe wrong. So you see, cultural aspect, one way, one thing. Philosophical aspect, one thing. Then religion, one thing. So as far as religion is concerned, all major world religious tradition, same, I feel. Practice of love, compassion, as a sort of, because of the fence, right? Fence,
as a sort of a protection, a defense.
Protection or practice of love and compassion, the concept, the practice of tolerance, concept of forgiveness, is some kind of protector or practice of love and compassion. Then brotherhood, sisterhood. And then also, you see, the one sort of opposition or hindrance of sense of concern of others' well-being is selfish, greedy. Therefore, all major religious traditions teach us the practice of contentment and self-discipline. All major religious traditions talk same. Now, in order to bring conviction about these practice, the philosophical part come. So most of religions, or world religion, the theistic religion, is a concept of God, creator. That concept is actually boosting the practice of love, compassion, and respect to others. All are created by God or Allah. Then cultural aspect, as I already mentioned. So it is now here. You see, so now here, Buddhist country. I think the reason why the Indian ancient psychology is so sort of the detailed explanation about mind and emotion is there is practice of shamatha, practice of vipassana. So both practice is a work for mind. So in order to practice these things, firstly you should know about mind, how it works, how it sort of tackles our mind. Firstly, you see, single-pointed mind. In order to practice our single-pointed mind, our mind always
distracted.
So we need certain method to bring our mind on the main sort of object. So mindfulness, these things will happen. And then further deeper, what is reality? What is the very nature of mind? All these things is mentioned. Then particularly Buddhism. I think Buddhism, firstly, no concept of creator, absolute, permanent creator. No, Buddhists do not accept, and also do not accept Atma, independent self, absolute, permanent, independent. So the
So what is unique about the Buddhist approach is that the object of reverence is not someone, which is a sort of an absolute being, nor the individual who is, paying the reverence and homage is someone that possesses this kind of independent principle called self or Atman.
So everything interrelated, interconnected. That Buddhists call Paticca.
Dependent origination.
So,
Dependent origination.
So therefore, in order to know one thing, you have to look more wider perspective. So therefore, you see, naturally, when we deal with mind, tolerance, or forgiveness, or practice of compassion, we have to know about the whole system of mind, emotion. Therefore, you see, in Buddhist literature, a lot of explanation about this mind, these things. So therefore, however, our real meeting is the Buddhist science about mind and modern science knowledge about matters. Now, last over now 30 years, as a result of our meeting, immense benefit to us, the much sort of knowledge, much useful knowledge about matters and cosmology, these things. And particularly the quantum physics is very, very helpful. So to analyze the reality, then Buddhists call absence of independent existence. So very, very helpful. And then the modern sort of scientists about mind or emotion, very detailed sort of knowledge about brain, work of the brain. Very, very helpful. Sometimes you see these knowledge is give us some
Makes us rethink some of our assumptions.
Very good. Meantime, to scientists, you see the detailed explanation about mind. So, you see, since some time back, you see, I call map of mind. Mind is not something independent, some solid thing. No. Mind is vast, sort of world, its own world. So a lot of the problem which we are facing is mental level. And the physical level sort of problem, killing, starvation, huge gap, rich to poor. All these, and hypocrisy, corruptions, all these bully, exploitation, all these ultimately related with here, not created by mission. Mission help us become work easier. Ultimate sort of mover is here. So unless we pay more attention about here, knowledge, intelligence alone sometimes create more problem. Recently I was in East India. Modern education with the help of Christian missionaries. Really, I think almost 80% or 90% educated. and 80% Christian. So there's someone is my talk. Someone asked me whether is a modern education is because of the kind of modern education gi me because of the zombling but digital mandang kares this.
One of the person asked me, what is lacking in modern education in terms of fulfilling the human aspiration for happiness?
In my talk, I mentioned existing modern education system is not adequate about knowledge, insight. The modern education is very much oriented about material value. So, you see, the question, raised is that question. Then I told him, I responded to him, most of the troublemaker. As far as education is concerned, they are really educated people. So they are really, expert how to manipulate, how to cheat other people, how to deceive other people. I think dull people, may not do that. More honest, like animal. So therefore, existing modern education sort of system really is pay much attention about material sort of things, not adequate about mind or inner world. So now, in order to sort of make known the importance of inner value, if we say, oh, Buddha said that, or God said that, those people, only those people who believe that seriously, then they may pay more attention. But non-believer, out of 7 billion, over 1 billion are non-believer. Among the believers also, not of corrupted people there. So there are, recently I was in Mexico, one big meeting with Kasati, a Christian.
It's a theological seminary.
Oh, many archbishops there. Oh, we have very good discussions. Then, one occasion I mentioned, oh, we religious people. You see, sometimes it seems to see faith is on our dress, not here. So long the dress put there, oh, more holy person. As soon as that dress is put aside, then no longer. So one I think bishop, see, he very much sort of agreement with my view. So next day, you see, he came to see me, and he very much sort of appreciated like that. So this also, you see, clear sign, lack of full conviction from here about honest, truthful, compassion, just compassion, truthful, honest, these are become lip service. So lack of full conviction here. Now how to bring that? These are faith, these are religious people, not adequate. So we need education field to systematically educate about our deeper values. It's not only something holy or something good, but individuals themselves. Some scientists, even some religious people, deep inside, a lot of worry, a lot of stress. Perhaps, I think, if may I say so, you see, the brain specialist, you see, they know brain very detailed. But sometimes they themselves, you see, a lot of worry here, a lot of anxiety, a lot of stress. So therefore, now really, now time comes. The material development, wonderful. still develop. We need more money, more development. And I think Japanese contribution about the global economy. Wonderful. Still, we need more work and need competition, yens and dollars and euros, very important. But meantime, the material value alone, not the real solution of happy world, happy century. So now, in order to pay more attention, more awareness, importance of inner value, as I mentioned earlier, so God, these things, people may not pay much attention. Now scientists, I think in ancient time, we say, lots of us, loka jikten, jikten mixer.
The Tibetan word for translators is lotsawa, and lotsawa literally means the eyes of the world.
So, ancient time, you see, translator refer like that. So, in that respect, today's Jimba,
Eye of the world.
Now, I think the scientists also, I think, really,
scientists are truly eyes of the world.
Among the scientists also, like religious people, sometimes you see a little bit biased one. It's understandable. But genuine scientists, their mind, very open. They never sort of put their own desire or their own wish. Just objectively look, analyze, research. That's the only way to know the reality. So sometimes religious people, perhaps including myself, a little bit biased. I try to be more objective. So this genuine scientist, I think really opener of our mind. Wonderful. So you see, already last now, I think over 1 decade, you see the people, these scientists, they carry, experiment. How much sort of helpful, how much help if you train about mind. And mainly, you see this deeper knowledge about value of compassion and some short period mindfulness. You see, they actually found immense sort of effect. So therefore, I felt, since now many years, I felt, no, collaboration, scientist, and further research, how to bring the happy world, happy century, irrespective of the believer or non-believer, entire 7 billion human being, happy one. Once 7 billion human being really, through education, develop some kind of attitude, 7 billions are same human being. All have same right. All have, you see, they all deserve our love. Then, no basis of violence, including war. War, violence, entirely based on strong sense of we and they. Once we develop genuine sense of oneness of humanity, no ground, we and they. As much as you love yourself, similarly love to others. There's no basis of killing, no basis of cheating, no basis of telling lie, exploit, like that. So that's the main reason. You see, last now, nearly 30 years, you see, I dialogue. At the beginning, about 40 years ago, one occasion, I expressed my desire, more dialogue with modern scientists. I mentioned one American lady who who follow who follow Buddhism. Then she told me, be careful. Science is killer of religion. Then I felt, oh, as far as Buddhism is concerned, Buddha himself, you see, told us, oh, my follower should not accept my teaching out of faith, out of devotion, but rather thorough investigation and experiment. So that's a very scientific way. So that's why, like Nagarjuna and many of these sort of great Buddhists, even in some cases, Buddha's own word, they reject it. Because they said, this Buddha's teaching, or the Buddha's teaching. But it goes against reasons or experiment. Therefore, we should reject. So I reflect that. So then, okay, if scientists really prove a certain concept which we believe Buddhists mentioned, but scientists prove non-existence, then we have to accept that. So number one casualty is, now I'm no longer believe about existence of Mount Meru. It doesn't matter. If Mount Meru, because of the saying,
very long. So if Mount Meru, which is the center of the traditional Buddhist cosmology, were to be made of gold, then to lose that would be quite, sad.
So therefore, you see, as a Buddhist, a follower or student of Nalanda tradition, you see, investigation, experiment is the real method to know the reality. We should not rely on quotations. So therefore, I start, you see, they talk with scientists. So, really wonderful. So now, as I mentioned briefly before, this Buddhist country, Shintoism is your ancient, your native tradition. Wonderful. I do not think there's much philosophical views in Shintoism, but you see, respect to nature. That's very relevant to today's world. Sometimes it's because of technology. Sometimes we develop some kind of false
attitude.
False, we can control nature, or that kind of thing. Ultimately, we are part of nature. We have to go along with nature. So therefore, respect nature, trees, any form of life, respect is very, very important, and particularly ecology issue. I think Shinto concept, as well as Native Americans sort of believe, respect nature. Wonderful. So then Buddhism is your traditional religion, particularly Nalanda tradition. So therefore, this is a very right place. And then second thing, the one object of this dialogue is simply expand our knowledge. So for modern science, I think limited area, only thing where we can measure, we can calculate. That's a physical thing. Mind, like time, we can't because of the measurement. So, in the past, I think more because of the traditional way, classical sort of scientists. Some scientists, even if you mention non-existence of separate mind or consciousness. Now that changing, little by little changing, because they are experiment. I think now I think you all, you see, knows. Oh, brain, consciousness, there are different level of consciousness, sensorial level of consciousness. These entirely related with brain. Then more subtle level, mental level consciousness. There also you see grosser level, more subtle, very, very subtle level. More subtle, more or less independent or autonomy from brain. So through training of mind, actually some change in brain. There are sort of research now they found. So therefore, there is another sort of element which actually you see effect of brain, like that. So therefore, you see, we simply you see the extension
expand.
the research, because the field of scientific research now
expand.
Oh, so I think that is the academic sort of level, not
It's not a question of ethics, good or bad. It's simply a matter of knowledge, expand of knowledge.
So among the audience, those people who only interested about academic level, then think that way. Then those people who really feel, you see, the presence of the world, lot of good things there. At the same time, a lot of emotional problems, or moral problems, moral crisis. That also, you see, those people who have some sort of concern about that, then our meeting can be some useful. So, thank you. That's all.
Thank you very much, Your Holiness.
Thank you very much, Your Holiness.